Everybody, welcome back to another video with Shifty's 49ers Talk. And in today's video, we're going to do part one of a series, and it's going to be getting to know the rookies for the 49ers from the 2025 draft class. I thought this would be a really interesting series to do as we lead up to the season. Preseason is only a matter of days away, so we want to get to know some of the rookies, some of the guys who are going to play significant time for the 49ers in 2025. In this video, we're going to start with our first two draft picks, Mykel Williams, Alfred Collins. Let's not waste any time. We're going to jump right into it. But first, let's run the intro real quick. Our first round pick of the 2025 NFL draft was Mykel Williams, the defensive end out of Georgia. Now, to get a little bit of background on Mykel, he's just turned 21 years old, so he is still very much a young kid, and he's going to have a lot of time, a lot of room to develop his game. He's originally from Columbus, Georgia. He's listed at 6'5", 267 pounds. So you look at that height, that size. He's also got extremely good length. His wingspan is ridiculous. That's something that we actually heard Trent Williams talk about in a press conference, where Trent commented on that, saying it's just so difficult to block these guys when their arms are just so long. So that's something that Mykel really has going for him. Overall, he spent 3 years with Georgia, 2022 through 2024, drafted 11th overall, of course, by the Niners. Back in 2022, the Georgia Bulldogs did win the national championship game, so he definitely has experience playing in some bigger games. Overall, he has played in 40 games. If you look at his numbers total, 14 sacks, 23 tackles for loss. Some of the guys that he played with, he'll actually be familiar with, is a member of the 49ers, and that's Robert Beal Jr. So Robert Beal Jr. was on that 2022 team. So at least there's a very, a familiar face from the Georgia Bulldogs. Other guys that he's played with who are in the NFL, you look at Jalen Carter, who's a monster for the Eagles, Nolan Smith, Kamari Lassiter, and there's just so many Georgia Bulldogs who've been drafted into the NFL in recent years. It's a really well-run program there. When you look at Mykel Williams, though, what are we going to expect from Mykel in his rookie year? I really do think he is going to play some significant snaps in year one. He's a guy who can play outside, he can play inside. Primarily, he's a guy who's going to play the 5 tech or the 4-eye position. So that's going to be lining up right around where the offensive tackle, the 4-eye, would just be a little bit on the inside of the inside shoulder of the offensive tackle. You will also see him when it comes to more obvious pass rushing downs. We do play the wide 9 defense. He is going to be out there. That's going to allow him to utilize his great get-off speed, his length, his strength, his power, basically everything that he has at his weapon, his arsenal of weapons in terms of just his size and his skill set. The one thing which stands out about Mykel when you watch him at Georgia is, I think, just really, really good run defense. Mykel is so good at setting an edge where when you have those running backs who want to bounce it outside and get that big gain, Mykel is so good at controlling the offensive tackle and kind of pushing them back, pushing them out, so it limits what the running back can do. If they want to bounce it outside, not going to happen, because Mykel Williams and his blocker are going to be right there and disrupt it. But not only that, he shows a really good ability to not only maintain his block, but then actually break away and make the tackle. We've seen him do it numerous times at Georgia, which is really, really impressive. The other thing too, when you talk about his run defense, is that he seems to be really good at being able to read plays. And what I mean by that is when you have running plays where there's misdirection, fake handoffs, quarterback keepers, all those kind of stuff, he seems to be able to know exactly where to be in the right place at the right time, and then he uses his athleticism to be able to make a play. Now, look, I think he's going to be at a day one starter on the defensive line in terms of base downs. And when you draft a defensive end at 11th overall, the big thing, the numbers that stick out are like sack numbers. You're also, looking for big quarterback pressure numbers. And last season with Georgia, he had 5 sacks. He had a number of quarterback pressures. He did play with a high ankle sprain for the majority of his junior year, his final year with the Georgia Bulldogs. So that is something to keep in mind. And he has all the room, all the abilities. And when you think about it, he gets to watch guys like Nick Bosa at practice, Bryce Huff, who's had success in this scheme. You get the coaching of Robert Saleh, Gus Bradley, Chris Kocurek. So there's a lot of positives for Mykel Williams. I think he's in a fantastic position to succeed with the 49ers. But we do want to factor in that, look, he will need to be a factor in the passing game, and I think he can be. Will he be refined as Nick Bosa when Bosa came into the league? I don't think many players are, so that's not going to happen. I don't expect him to have double-digit sack numbers right away. I think it's probably going to be maybe, if you're looking at sack numbers, maybe 6 to 8 his rookie year, and if you're just strictly looking at that, maybe you'd say that's a little bit disappointing considering where he was drafted, but I don't think that's a fair way to analyze a defensive end like Mykel. If you look at the Niners last season, we struggled so much stopping the run. So if he can really bring just a huge bonus there in terms of run defense, how many times do we see running backs bounce outside, bounce inside, and just gash us in the run game? That's going to be something that if Mykel Williams can affect that, obviously, in a positive way, I think that's a win right there. And then what you'll get, I think you'll see when it comes to his pass rushing, is that's going to develop as the season goes on. Another benefit for Mykel is, when you think about it, is in practice, he's going up against Trent Williams, who, some may consider the best offensive tackle maybe of all time. I'm thinking probably at least top 5, top 10 of all time, Trent Williams. So that's going to be one of those iron sharpens iron type thing. But I really, this was a pick where when it happened in the moment, and I did live stream my reaction to the Mykel Williams pick, and I wasn't super stoked on it. But the pick has really grown on me. I think he's one of those all-around defensive ends. He's not just an out-and-out pass rusher. He's a guy who can really play the run well. And I think he is going to be a factor in the passing game, more so as he develops his game. It's going to take, maybe not in the first season, but I think you look at year 2, year 3, he could just be that overall weapon. The other thing that I haven't mentioned yet when it comes to the pass defense, which I think will be huge for Mykel Williams, is the fact that I think you're going to see him play on the inside when it comes to obvious pass rushing situations. He's explosive, he's got the length, he's got the power. When you have something like, imagine on a 3rd down and 8, if you have Nick Bosa on one end, you have Bryce Huff, the speedster, on the other, Mykel Williams inside, and then maybe you have CJ West or Alfred Collins or who knows else beside Mykel inside. That just gives so many different looks, and the Niners can play in so many different ways to attack the quarterback. You look at maybe blitzing linebackers on top of all that. I'm really excited to see what Robert Saleh does with Mykel Williams, but of course what Robert Saleh does with the defense as a whole. And it's great to have Robert back with the Niners. But Mykel is someone who's just, he's a really exciting player, and he's someone where I think, with this coaching, with this defense, playing beside some great players is really going to help him out as he develops his game. And I think it's going to be a really, really good pick for the 49ers. He is someone who's going to log, I think, a lot of snaps in his rookie year. So for all of you guys, thinking that if you're not, one of those fans who stays up to date on the draft and everything, Mykel Williams is a name to look out for the 49ers. When I do my live streams, I think it's a name that you're going to hear pretty often. So there you go. And next up, guys, who I want to talk about will be 2nd round pick Alfred Collins. Let's look at our 2nd round pick, Alfred Collins. He was the 43rd overall pick by the 49ers. He is 24 years old, from Bastrop, Texas. So a Texas guy, and he goes to the University of Texas. He's 6'5", about 320 pounds. So he is a big dude. He played 5 years at the University of Texas. So yes, 24 years old, obviously quite a bit older, 3 years older than Mykel Williams, but he has 5 years of experience playing in college. Overall, he appeared in 63 games, 26 starts for the Longhorns. When you look at his career stats at Texas, You're talking 7 sacks, 18 tackles for loss. He had a bunch of passes defense, so passes batted down at the line of scrimmage, and something which sticks out to me was he had 7 passes defensed in 2024, meaning just being able to recognize in the passing game if he's not going to get home to the quarterback, to basically when you see the quarterback lining up to throw, is just to get those big hands up there and block a pass. That's hugely important, obviously, and to get 7 of those throughout the course of the season, you're talking one almost every game, one a game, maybe one every couple of games, so hugely impactful there. And, just when you look at, of course, sacks are important, quarterback pressures, but even that, getting your hands up, getting the block, that can be the difference between 3rd and 7, and then the opposing offense picking up a first down. So overall, when I think of Alfred Collins, yes, he is a massive human being, and he's going to be someone who I think is going to be, we're going to rely on him to really help change our run defense. Again, like we talked about with Mykel Williams, the run defense for the 49ers last season was maybe one of the worst that we've seen since Kyle Shanahan, at least the worst since probably 2017, 2018, since Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch came to San Francisco. It's something that we absolutely have to change. If teams are able to gash you in the run game, it just means that it's going to be incredibly difficult to win any football game. They're getting huge chunks on first down. It sets up everything for the opposing offense. So getting a guy like Mykel in the first round, Alfred Collins is hopefully going to be another big answer to that problem, being able to slow down offenses in the run game. So when I look at Alfred Collins, something that he is so good is basically being able to hold double teams. Something that would happen a lot last season when you look at some of our defensive tackles like Mykel Collins, and you look at Kevin Givens and Javon Hargrave before he got injured, was teams would double, let's say, Mykel Collins, and then you have one of the offensive linemen would kind of basically come off the block and then block downfield to the 2nd or 3rd level, and that would lead to huge gains. A guy like Alfred Collins, he's not going to be pushed around, even by a double team. He's going to be able to play with leverage, play really smart, play with great technique, hold his position, and basically get those 2 guys, and he's not going to be moved. And that's something that's going to help the Niners out tremendously in the run game. What that does is that's going to free up your linebackers to be able to come in and make plays. So Fred Warner, D. Winters, Nick Martin, these guys are going to be a lot more free. They're going to be a lot more clean to go in there, fill their gaps, and to stop the run, which is going to be really transformative for this defense if Alfred Collins can play up to the level that we hope and the level that we would expect, I think, from a 2nd round pick. When you look at his game, something that Alfred is so good at is his lateral movement. When you look on the offensive line, he's able to, he's pretty quick as well. He's got a pretty quick first step and quite nimble as well. For a guy his size, we've seen him do some spin moves. You look at his tape against Colorado State, he had a really nice spin move. Didn't lead to a sack or anything on the quarterback, but still a great play and showing off his athleticism, considering his size, which is really impressive, but also being able to, when it comes to certain run plays, to be able to just kind of cut through between 2 offensive linemen, completely disrupt the play. Even if he doesn't make the tackle, he's someone who's going to be there, disrupt the play, force the running back to have to make a quick decision, to maybe, have to go, can't go this way, got to find somewhere else. Bam, plays over. Maybe it's no gain, maybe it's a loss. Alfred Collins, I think, can be dominant in the run game. It seems like so far, though, through practices, he hasn't exactly jumped out, on the tape or anything like that. CJ West, who we'll talk about in a future video, he's someone who seems to be kind of garnering more attention that way. I don't know if that's Alfred Collins' game, though. Look, we'd love to see him make some big-time impact plays, like dominating offensive linemen, throwing them to the ground. No one would complain about that, but I think it's going to be one of those things with Alfred Collins that he's the guy where it's not going to be plays that really, show up on any highlight reel, but it's going to be so important to the success of the defense. Being able to take on those double teams, being able to basically have to, reroute the running back where it's going to have to cause him to second guess himself. So those are some of the things that I think you're going to see a lot of from a guy like Alfred Collins, if he can. And I don't really think it's going to happen that quickly. I think it's going to take some time, but if he can develop more as a pass rusher, that's going to be great for San Francisco, and that would really help out with his development if he's able to kind of develop that aspect of his game. But I do think the Niners initially are going to ask him to be like, look, we need to stop the run by any means necessary. Alfred, you're going to be a big part of that. So you'll see him, I think, this coming season a lot on your first down, second down, those early kind of more base downs in there to help stop the run. If he does give you anything in terms of pass rush, great, that's an added bonus. But his job is going to be to slow down the run game. Expect to see him part of a rotation, and that is something that you see from Robert Saleh defenses. They usually will rotate quite heavily. He's a guy to look out for. It's going to be hard to miss him because he's a huge guy. And number 95, Alfred Collins, someone to watch out for this coming season. Really excited for both of these guys because I think both of these guys, they've played a lot of games in college. Mykel, 40 games. Alfred Collins played in 63 games. So they have a lot of experience in that aspect. And I think they're both going to be significant playmakers when it comes to the 49ers this coming season. We are going to ask them to play significant snaps. So these are both guys that you want to look out for. And in preseason, they're going to play some snaps. I don't know how many. I think Alfred probably plays more than Mykel, but we'll see. But these are two guys we're really excited for. The Niners made it a point to improve the defensive line in the draft. These two guys are going to be a massive part of that. So two guys to look out for this coming season. But there you have it, guys. This is part one of my series, basically getting to know the rookies. Part two will be coming out very soon, where we're going to talk about third round picks Nick Martin and Upton Stout, and we'll maybe throw in fourth round pick CJ West as well. So that's going to be really exciting. Heading close to the preseason, football is right around the corner. Super excited, and I think I'll make a quick announcement right now, but I'll also do a post on YouTube or something like that, or maybe a short video that I will be streaming preseason week 2, and I will, of course, then when it comes to the regular season, be streaming as many of the games as I can. For sure, I'm locked in to week 1 against the Seahawks and week 2 against the New Orleans Saints. So football is back, everybody. Super excited. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, what you think of both of these guys. Were you happy with the draft picks? Are you happy from what you're seeing so far in training camp? And see you guys next time. I'm going to head out, but before I do, got to say 2 things. The butt counts, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side.